Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'll be right there, guys. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Sorry about the noise in the background, guys. I have a full house, okay? So, forgive me. Hello, Miss Erica Williams. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. Good morning, Granny. 100 Wings. Miss Erica, Mom Life. Bev. Whitney DTV. Karen J. What's up, Aisha Neri Bubu? Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. I'm gonna let everybody kind of come in here. I'm going to share my screen in a moment, and we're gonna watch a little bit of some court TV. Okay. Okay, go back.
There you see defense attorneys for R. Kelly making their way into the courthouse. You don't see R. Kelly making his way into the courthouse because he's locked up. He's not free like Harvey Weinstein was, coming into court every day in New York. No, R. Kelly comes in through the inside from the holding cell. Anyway, the trial continued today for R&B superstar R. Kelly. We don't have any pictures. We have sketches. We don't have video. We've got sketches because it's federal court. Again, I would ask you to talk to your Chief Justice about all of that, keeping our cameras out of federal courtrooms. But another important day today, an accuser taking the stand. Let me bring in Court TV legal correspondent Julie Janae joining us live from Brooklyn tonight. Julie Janae, great to see you. Tell us about the accuser who came into court today and how that testimony went.
Vinny, witness number 13 identified herself as only Stephanie. She is one of the Jane Does in the indictment against the defendant. He's facing those charges for 6 Jane Does, but she may be one of the last ones that we hear on the stand. She detailed meeting this defendant back in 1998 when she was still 16 years old, and says that she was passed his number by an employee at what's known as the Rock and Roll McDonald's in Chicago. She didn't call him right away, but she says that she had a friend who wanted to become a singer, and she wanted to figure out how to get close to the singer to allow her to connect with her friend who was able to sing. She also testified that a year later, she went to meet him. This was at a Nike store. And she says that is when she talked to him. He recognized her, or said that he did, from the year before. She was now 17 years old. And that he invited her to come to his studio on Larrabee Street in Chicago. She did go alone. She said that was what he requested. And once inside, she was taken to a bedroom, and he came a couple hours later and they had sex. She said that he initiated it, and that started this 6-month plus relationship where she was flown to Orlando. She says that it was degrading and humiliating. Sometimes he would position her in a room sexually with no clothes on, and then he would leave and tell her she couldn't move, and she'd be like that for hours. She also talked about him videotaping several of these encounters, saying that she was 17 years old when that happened. Also, she said, I did it because I did as he asked, rather, because I felt like I didn't have a choice. She said Kelly could behave one of two ways: nice and charming or controlling and intimidating, saying he could put the fear of God in me quickly. Then there was a story that she recounted that really stood out to me about a meal that she had with the defendant and two rappers. She said that Kelly said out of the blue that he likes young girls and that people have a problem with it, but it's no big deal. She said that she wasn't allowed to speak to those rappers, but that Kelly went on to say that Jerry Lee Lewis did it. He was a genius. I'm a genius. Look at what I give to this world. This was a moment that I saw R. Kelly looking down a lot in the courtroom. He also seemed to be a little bit stressed out about what was happening, sometimes putting his fingers to his nose, moving his mask around, shaking his head, more than I saw him with the other two Jane Does who have already taken the stand.
All right, Julie, tonight, stay there. I just want to get a quick reaction here from our think tank tonight on this first part, this accuser taking the stand. Larry Uretzian, these cases are always difficult. She said he may not say anything, but I'm sure the arguments will be made that, there's some level of consent. There's some level of you're attracted to this star. You want something from him. How does the jury take this? How do they comprehend all of this? And do they put themselves in the position of the accuser, do you think? Or do they kind of take a step back and try to understand her world?
We're on commercial break, guys. So you see, this young lady is a totally different young lady. And she's actually not a Jane Doe in the sense. She's one of the witnesses. They said she's witness number 13.
Was consensual, if this consensual, if this was consensual testimony, they need to figure out they want to put themselves in there, obviously.
World. A step back and try to understand her world.
I mean, it depends on the juror, obviously. I mean, they may want to put themselves in the position of that witness or take a step back. But the bottom line is they need to figure it out. They need to figure out, based on the testimony, based on the evidence that's come in, if this was consensual, if the individual who was having this relationship with a gentleman who was a lot older than her and was abusive, clearly she wanted that. Some people, I mean, I know it may sound strange to some people, but some people enjoy these types of things. The bottom line for the jury is to decide, is this what they wanted? Did they agree to be treated that way? And now that he's in trouble, everybody's coming out and just testifying against him. And that's really up to the defense attorneys to be able to show to the jury. We'll see if they can do it.
KC, this is, the big part of this case is that it's a criminal enterprise, but I'm not getting the enterprise part of it here. I'm getting, and the way I always looked at it was, a lot of alleged criminal conduct, but why are we in federal court? Why is this a RICO case? And does this play into that? Does this part really fit?
This is definitely an enterprise. I mean, R. Kelly was a self-proclaimed Pied Piper. He utilized his music to draw in these girls, and by his own admission, I mean, according to the allegations, he loved being around young girls. I mean, it dates back from his first public relationship with Aaliyah when she was 15 years old, and he married her. And I believe he was 12 years her senior. So he's the self-proclaimed Pied Piper. This is the image that he portrayed. His music was sexually explicit. I mean, this was this R&B big time thing. So now, what is he going to do? Say, oh, you know what? No, this is not my image. This is not what I am about. So this is his enterprise. He utilized this enterprise to recruit. He was the head person in charge. And I mean, I said it before, he had help, no doubt about it. So once this conviction goes through, I'm pretty sure there's more to follow.
And I've been comparing this case, Renee Hill, to the Michael Jackson case. They're both stars. Obviously, Michael Jackson, much bigger star. But Michael Jackson wasn't charged with running a criminal enterprise, but a lot of this conduct is similar. The victims look different, obviously, or the accusers look different, but it seems like it's kind of the same. Your thoughts about the fact that this is a criminal enterprise trial that's taking place, not in the Bronx, but in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, Vinny, I think that sometimes when the state believes they can't get it right, they pass it off and have the feds investigate and see if they can formulate
But there are state
something
charges here too.
that falls in. There are state charges
in
as
Illinois,
well.
yeah.
In Illinois, but here in New York, they wanted to go federal with it. They believe that they have enough of these acts, that are on the list. When you have two or more of certain prescribed crimes, they can make it into a RICO charge. And, they think that they have enough. And usually when the feds come in, they do have an extreme amount of ammunition to move forward with. I have a problem with parts of this case. I do think that the jury is going to have to look at the consent aspect of it. I recognize that a lot of these individuals were young, but where were the parents? Where were the parents in all this? You're talking about complainants or victims here that are getting on airplanes, being flown to different locations to be with him. And how is that happening when they are children? Where are the parents? Now, that doesn't necessarily make the conduct that R. Kelly is accused of proper and correct. And the prosecution is going to have to prove that. But I think that these are things the jury is also going to be looking at when they're trying to determine, was it consensual? How much did R. Kelly really know and understand? Did he really know how young these girls were, if they were getting on planes by themselves and flying wherever he wanted them to come to? I think they have to look at all of that before they can make a real decision here.
Absolutely. Julie Janae, let's bring her back in, Court TV legal correspondent. They're building the case, witness 13. Where are we going next? And how much have we seen that's related to the criminal enterprise?
See, Vinny just said that she's witness number 13. She's not a Jane Doe. She's witness number 13, guys.
Well, we've seen two of the former employees take the stand. Tom Arnold was one of them. He testified today. But as far as moving forward, we are likely going to hear from more of the alleged victims, not necessarily ones who are part of the indictment, but the 16 other people that this prosecution rather is going to put on the stand to talk about similar sexual assault cases. Incidents in the past. So there's a John Doe number 1 that we expect is going to be taking the stand next week.
Okay, not going to get easier for R. Kelly's defense team. And prosecutors, put together a strong case here, but we'll see what the jury does with it. You never know. Julie Janae in Brooklyn tonight, thank you so much.
Okay, so that was not a Jane Doe that was on the stand yesterday. It was a witness. So she's one of those Jane Does that are one of the witnesses. So she's one of those girls. She's not 1 through 6. She's 7 through 22 or whatever. I believe it's 22 altogether. You know, so yeah, that's what's going on there, guys. So back to the reading. My brother Atmos Love Zone, he read the other part on his channel. If you didn't go check it out, please do. And after me, Witness D will be going and doing her thing. She will be starting off where I left off. And then we'll, you know, we're just rotating. And if anyone would like to donate to the transcript fund, please do so. We're going to be doing it the whole month so we can continue. We're waiting for 3 more transcripts. We reached out to the reporter today. She hasn't reached back to any of us yet. I gather, you know, it's supposed to be a holiday, a religious holiday. And so I don't know if she's working today or what. But if we don't hear from them today, at least we can all finish up what we got. And maybe we'll get it on Monday. So we're just waiting for that. So if you can, guys, just keep donating, because remember, we got a few more weeks of this trial to go, and it is very costly. And we personally are not there to see the trial, to really know what's really going on. So we feel that this is the best way for us to really feel like we were actually there, because we are going by word for word, verbatim, everything that everyone said, who were the players, and so forth. So welcome, 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 guys. Please make sure you do your due diligence when you come into my platform here, guys. Don't forget, guys, you can step on out right now, hit the like button real quick, come right back in. If you're not subscribed to my channels, please remember to subscribe. Hit the little bell, put it on all, and you will get all my notifications. I know YouTube is a little funny sometimes with that, but it is what it is. But just make sure you do it, okay? And if you have any comments at the end of the video, you can leave your comments below in the comment section. All right, so let's get to it, guys. All right, and once again, welcome, welcome, everyone. I love you guys. Big kisses to my OCOV family, my Dream Team family. What's up, what's up, what's up, everybody? All my subscribers in the bushes, how you doing? And the haters as well. What's up, haters? Hi, haters. It's all love over here. Don't worry about that. We good. All right. And again, sorry about the distractions in the background. Please forgive me. I have a life and I don't have my own room. So, you know, the husband, this is my room, and he's on the game. My son, they're both playing. So you're going to hear a lot of fire in the background and yelling and stuff, but we could get through it, right? All right. Now, according to where Brother Atmos left off, we were at Ms. Getty's, who was examining, shall I say, the Jane Doe number 5. Okay, so Ms. Getty starts off by asking her a question. And how did you know that? And as said, the defendant had told me not to. Then Ms. Getty says, now, through your testimony today, you've testified about certain rules that the defendant wanted you to follow. What, if anything, would happen if you did not follow one of those rules? And Jane Doe said, I would be chastised. And Ms. Getty said, and what do you mean, again, by chastising? And Jane Doe said, meaning that he would spank me. And Ms. Getty said, so who used the word chastising? She said, the defendant. Ms. Getty says, Were there others? Were there other things that might happen if you didn't follow one of the defendant's rules? She said, yes. Ms. Getty said, what? She said, sometimes, occasionally, I would be left in a room, or my phone would be taken, or sometimes I would receive a punishment if it wasn't a drastic rule that I had broken. Ms. Getty says, I want to start with chastisement or spankings. Do you recall the first time that the defendant spanked you? She said, I do. Ms. Getty said, where do you recall that happening? She said, it was in Atlanta, Georgia. And Ms. Getty said, and how old were you? She said, I was 17. Ms. Getty said, and what do you remember happening? She said, I remember him saying that he has protocols and rules that need to be followed, and that a chastising was only to help me be better and remember the small things, just in case I was not remembering the things to do. Miss Getty says, and did you know what the defendant meant when he used the word chastising? She said, no, I did not. Miss Getty said, how did you learn? She replied and said, I asked him what it was. Miss Getty said, what did he say? And she said, he said that it was just a spanking to help me remember. Miss Getty said, and I think you testified that it was in Atlanta the first time that the defendant spanked you. Is that correct? And she answered, yes. Miss Getty said, where in Atlanta were you? And she said, we were in a hotel. I believe the Hyatt. Miss Getty's asked her, and what, if anything, do you remember about that particular hotel room? And she said, I thought that we were in a room and the number was 407. And I thought that it was so bizarre because my area code for my cell phone number was 407. Miss Getty said, so that was the number of the hotel room? She said, yes. And Miss Getty said, now, do you recall what prompted what rule? Or do you recall what prompted the defendant to tell you about these chastisements and to spank you that day in room 407 in Atlanta? She said, I had did something that he didn't like, and he said that it was time to teach me about the protocols and chastising. And Miss Giddy said, as you sit here today, do you know what it was that you did that the defendant did not like? She said, I do not recall. And then Miss Getty says, so can you describe specifically what the defendant did when he spanked you? And she said, he did make me take off my underwear. I was wearing a dress, and he did spank me 3 times, open palm. Miss Getty said, and how were you positioned when he spanked you? She said, I was facing the left, and I was standing up, and my butt was facing his left palm. And Miss Getty says, so how often did the defendant spank you during the time that you spent with him? She said, I would get chastised nearly every 2 to 3 days. And then Miss Getty said, and when you say chastise, what are you referring to? She said, spankings. Then Miss Getty said, you testified that that first time the defendant spanked you 3 times. Did the number of spankings change from a particular incident to another incident? She said, yes, they did. Ms. Giddy said, how, if at all, would you know how many spankings the defendant was going to give you? She said, he would always tell me beforehand and to prepare. Miss Getty says, what would he do? And she said, he would tell me how many spankings I would have to take, and he would just tell me to just be ready. And then Miss Getty said, other than spankings, did the defendant ever physically hurt you? She said, yes, he did. And Miss Getty said, do you recall the first time that happened? She said, the first time that happened was probably in Atlanta, Georgia. And Miss Getty said, and let me back up one moment regarding your testimony about the spankings. You testified the first time that you had taken off your underwear. Is that correct? And she said, yes. And Miss Getty said, were those spankings that happened subsequently by the defendant, did you always have your underwear off? And she said, yes. Miss Getty said, can you describe to the jury how hard the defendant would spank you? And she said, yes. He would leave bruises sometimes, like it would make my skin tear. And Miss Getty said, how did it make you feel? She said, terrible. Miss Getty said, did it hurt? She said, it would, yes. And then Miss Getty's asked, so before I interrupted you, you were about to testify about the first time that you remember the defendant physically hurting you, other than these spankings. And I think you testified that you were in Atlanta. Do you recall what started that particular incident? And she said, he had received a text message. Miss Getty said, did you see the text message? Azriel said, he showed me, yes. And Miss Getty said, who did the defendant tell you the text message was from? She said, he said that it was from a man by the name of Devin. And did you see the text message itself? And she said, I did, yes. And Miss Getty said, what was the text message? And she answered, it was my name and a rat emoji. So, wait. I'm sorry, I went too far there. Hold on. Wait, Devin, I'm sorry. And she said, yes, I did. Okay. Miss Getty said, what was the text message? She said, it was my name and a rat emoji. Miss Getty said, at the time that text message, or that you saw that text message, did you know who Devin was? She said, I did not. So Miss Getty said, what happened after the defendant received that text message? Azriel said, he had taken my phone and asked me who had I been talking to. And Miss Getty said, and backing up one moment, you testified that this happened in Atlanta. Do you recall how old you were? I said, I was 17. Miss Giddy said, what? If anything, did the defendant say when he took your phone? And she said, he said that I had 30 seconds to be honest and to puke. And if I left out any small detail, that it would go up in that room. Wait a minute. Did that make sense? Azriel said, he said that I had 30 seconds to be honest and to puke means spit it out, right? That's what I'm guessing. And if I left out any small detail, that it would go up in that room. In other words, shit's about to go down. Okay, get it. It's just that the way she worded, that shit just sounded crazy to me. What? Miss Giddy said, now, when you said he told you that you had 30 seconds to be honest and to puke, what did you mean by that? And then she said, meaning like to tell him whom I had been talking to and to be completely honest with him. Miss Getty said, and when you said that you had 30 seconds to do that or it would go up in that room, what did you mean by that? And Azriel said, meaning that there would be no chastising, meaning that it would really be a physical altercation. Miss Getty said, how did you respond? She said, I was honest, but I did leave out details, and he did begin to physically hit me. Miss Getty said, what were you honest? What did you tell the defendant? And she said, I told him that I had been talking to Mia. And then Miss Getty said, who is Mia again? And she said, Mia she was my best friend at the time. Miss Getty said, you said that you left out details. What do you recall leaving out? And as said, I told him I had left out that we had been intimate and that I had expressed that to Mia. And she said, Miss Getty said, I'm sorry. So what did you not tell the defendant? And she said, I did not tell him that we were being intimate. She said, Miss Getty said, that who was being intimate? And Az said, me and the defendant. Miss Getty said, okay. Who had you told that you and the defendant were intimate? And she said, I had told my best friend Mia. Miss Getty said, okay, and did you leave out the fact that you had told Mia that you and the defendant had been intimate? And she said, yes, I did. Miss Getty said, how did the defendant respond? And she said, he began to hit me. Miss Getty said, what happened after that? And then Az said, he continuously began to hit me. And in between it, he would ask me, are you ready to be honest? And I would say, I don't know what you're talking about. And he would continue to hit me. Miss Getty said, how was he hitting you? She said, he was hitting me with an open palm and with a closed palm. And then Miss Getty said, where on your body was he hitting you? Then Mr. Canick jumped in and said, objection to the leading. And Auntie Ann said, well, where was he hitting you is not leading. Mr. Canick said, on your body is, and then Auntie said, well, it's not overruled. And then Azriel said, he hit me all over. He would hit me in my face and my arms, on my butt, on my, all over my body. And then Miss Getty said, what happened? Az said, I continued to not be honest with him. And then he went in his closet and grabbed one of his Air Force One shoes. And then Miss Getty said, what, if anything, did he do with one of his shoes? And Az said, he continued to hit me until I finally broke. And Miss Getty said, what did he use to hit you then? Azriel said, an Air Force One size 12. And then Miss Getty said, do you remember where on your body he hit you? She said, he hit me all over. Miss Getty said, with the shoe? She said, yes. Miss Getty said, how, if at all, did you react when the defendant was hitting you with his shoe? Az said, I was running from him in our master bedroom in Atlanta. I remember we were in the restroom and somehow we ended all the way in the master bedroom. And I was trying to run from him and fight back, but I'm literally no match. Miss Getty said, how tall are you? Az said, I'm 4'11". Miss Getty's asked, do you remember how much you weighed back then in 2015? Az said, I was about 98 pounds. And Miss Getty said, how tall is the defendant? And Az said, he is 6 feet. And Miss Getty said, how did that end? What happened? Az said, after that, I admitted to everything. And I did tell him that I had told Mia that we had been intimate. And he told me how he would fix it. And then he told Juice to come in the bedroom. And he told her to run your sister a bath water. Miss Getty said, now, you said that the defendant said how you would fix it. What did the defendant say to you? Az said, he then told me to text Mia, and he told me exactly what to say to Mia in the text message. Miss Getty said, did you do that? Az said, I did, yes. Miss Getty said, you said that Juice then ran a bath for you. Is that correct? And she said, yes. And Miss Getty said, where did that happen? Az said, it happened in our master bedroom. Miss Getty said, and when you say your master bedroom, what are you referring to? What residence? What house? Az said, at the big house. And then Miss Getty said, in Atlanta? She said, yes. And then Miss Getty said, so do you know where Juice was when the defendant was assaulting you? And Az said, I do not, no. And then Miss Getty said, do you know where the defendant went when... Did Juice, in fact, run you a bath? She said, yes, she did. And then Miss Getty said, so do you know where the defendant went when Juice came and ran you a bath? And she said, no, I do not. Miss Getty said, did you eventually meet an individual named Devin? And then Az answered, yes, years later. And then Miss Getty said, do you remember approximately when you met him? And she said, I met him, I believe, in the year of 2020. Miss Getty said, what, if anything, did Devin show you? And then Az said, Devin had showed me that same text, which was the last text that he had sent the defendant. And Ms. Getty said, and what was in the text? Az said, it was my name with the rat emoji. And then Ms. Getty said, you testified that at times the defendant had you stay in a room. Is that right? She said, yes. And Ms. Getty said, do you remember the first time that the defendant had you stay in a room? Az said, it was in 2015. Ms. Getty said, what happened? And she said, it was in the previous evidence that you had showed where he said that I could not leave the room. Ms. Getty said, can you describe what location that was? And Az said, I do not recall, but I do know that we were on the West Coast. And then Ms. Getty said, okay, do you remember what prompted him to tell you that you couldn't leave that room? And she said, no, he had expressed that it was a rule of his. And then Ms. Getty said, okay, so let me back up. I think you testified earlier that one of the ways, if you broke a rule, one thing that the defendant sometimes did was had you stay in a room. Is that correct? And she said, yes. Okay. Did there come a time when the defendant, in fact, made you stay in a room because you had broken a rule? And she said, yes. Ms. Getty said, do you remember the first time that happened? She said, yes. Ms. Getty said, where did that happen? I said, that happened in Chicago. Ms. Getty said, where in Chicago? I said, at the studio on Ohio Street. Ms. Getty said, and do you remember what led to that? Yes. And Ms. Getty said, what happened? Nice.
It feels better.
I know, it looks good. Sorry about that. Ms. Getty said, what happened? And Az said, I had gone shopping with Juice, and she had tried to convince me to get sweats in a size large, and I had got them in an extra small. And he had told me that anything that came from her was coming from him. And I didn't listen to her. Ms. Getty said, and when you said he had told you that anything that came from her was coming from him, what is the him in that sentence? And she said, Az said, the defendant. Ms. Getty said, and who is the her in that sentence? And Az said, Juice. And Ms. Getty said, do you recall whether or not what size sweats you bought that day? And Az said, I did buy extra small from Hollister. And she said, Ms. Getty said, what is Hollister? Hollister is a clothing store for like a lot of teens. And then Ms. Getty said, what happened? Do you remember where you left? Do you remember where you went after you went shopping that day? I said, yes, we went back to the studio. And Ms. Getty said, the studio on Ohio Street? And she said, yes. And Ms. Getty said, so what happened when you got back to the studio? I said, I had tried on my clothes like I usually do after I was done shopping. And I tried on my sweats. And Ms. Getty said, who, if anyone, was present for when you tried on your sweats? And I said, him and Juice were present. And then Ms. Getty said, the defendant and Juice? And she said, yes. And then Miss Getty said, what happened? She said he had saw the sweats on me and he wasn't happy. And he then said, didn't Juice tell me to get a size large? And I said, yes. Miss Giddy said, you said the defendant wasn't happy. What made you believe the defendant wasn't happy? I said, because I had went against what Juice had told me to do. Miss Giddy said, what, if anything, did the defendant do or say, though, that made you think he wasn't happy? And she said, he did, in fact, leave me in that room. And Miss Giddy said, when you say he did, in fact, leave you in that room, what are you talking about? And she said, I was in the 5-star at the time, and he basically felt that I felt like I didn't do anything wrong, and so as a punishment, he said I could not leave out of the room until I admitted to what I had done. And then Miss Getty said, you mentioned the 5-star. What do you mean by the 5-star? And then she said the 5-star was a room inside of his Ohio Street studio, which he would have parties in on the weekend. Miss Getty said, and when you were trying on the clothes that you had purchased in front of the defendant and Juice, where in the studio were you? And she said, we were in the 5-star. Miss Getty said, and how did the defendant express to you that he wanted you to stay in the 5-star room? And she said, he told me that I cannot leave out of this room until I admit what I should have done. And then Miss Getty said, what did you do? What happened then? And then Az said, I didn't leave outside of the room for about 3 to 4 days. And then Miss Getty said, what? Where was the defendant when you were in the room? And she said, I don't know. Miss Getty said, did you see him? And she said, what do you mean? Miss Getty said, while you were in the room for 3 to 4 days, what, if any, contact did you have with the defendant? And she said, oh, he would come in and he would check on me and ask me, was I ready to be honest? And I would express that I didn't have anything to be honest about. And he would leave again. Ms. Getty said, what, if any, what if anything, did you understand the defendant wanted you to do while you were in that 5-star room at the Ohio studio, at the Ohio Street studio? And she said, he wanted me to admit that I should have listened to Juice and that I should have gotten the sweats in a size large. Oh, wow. You know, I gotta put my opinion in here. I gotta put my opinion in here for a moment. So Juice was the boss of the girls. We all knew that she was the trainer, but she was also the boss of the girls. Wow. And Juice is allegedly, aka Andrea Payton, Valerie Payton's daughter. Now, I believe she was there at the same time Rashonda was. I think those two girls grew up together. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this because this is just my opinion on what I think right now. I'm injecting my opinion. So this girl had to do as she was told, and Juice was the babysitter, aka handler, right? He treats these girls like they're little girls, like they're babies. Go on a timeout in the corner for 5 minutes, but instead he's literally torturing these girls. That's how I see it. I see this shit as torture. I'm sorry. This is torture for me. And then Miss Getty says, what, if anything, did you eat while you were in the room? And she said, food was brought to me, and I would know because they would knock on the door. And then Getty said, and when you say they would knock on the door, what specifically did you hear? And she said, I would just hear a knock on the door. And Miss Getty said, and what, if anything, would you do when you heard a knock on the door? And as said, the defendant would always tell me, anytime I heard a knock, to wait 30 seconds before opening the door to give whoever it was time to leave. So for me, that sounds like they would knock, let her know that whatever service she needed was there, the food would be there, and then she could open the door and grab her food. Is this what I'm understanding right now? Like she was a prisoner? Wow, this man is sick. Where are we at? Okay. Oh, Lord. And then now Miss Geddes continues, and she says, so as you sit here today, do you know who brought you food while you were in the 5-star room for 3 to 4 days? And she said, I do not. Miss Geddes said, did there come a time, well, you testified that you were in there for 3 to 4 days. What, if anything, happened that allowed you finally to leave that room? And as said, I had admitted that I was wrong and that I should have listened to Juice. And Miss Geddes said, how did you admit that you were wrong? And she said, I had physically told him when he had came in the room. Miss Geddes said, how did he respond? How did he respond once you told him that you were wrong? She said, he was happy. And Mr. Canick said, objection. Auntie Ann said, well, when you say he was happy, how did you know that? And then as said, because afterwards, I immediately left the room and he let me go into the studio with him. And then Ms. Geddes said, now to be clear, the room where you were staying for the 3 to 4 days, was there a lock on the door? And she said, there is not. And then Ms. Geddes said, and what, if anything, did you think would happen if you did walk out of the room? And she said, I would get in trouble even more. Miss Getty said, and what did you think? What do you mean by that? And then Az said, I didn't know what would happen, but I just knew that I would probably get in even more trouble if I had chose to leave out of that room. You testified earlier about a time in which the defendant used his shoe to hit you. Do you recall that? And she said, yes, I do. Ms. Getty said, aside from spankings, did you ever see the defendant physically hit or assault another of the females that were living with you? And she said, yes, I have. And Ms. Getty said, what did you see? Personally, what did you see? And she said, I have seen him slap his other living girlfriends, open palm. I have seen him drag them by their hair. I have seen him punch them in their face and all over their bodies. And I have also seen him hit them with objects. And then Ms. Getty said, what objects have you seen the defendant hit them with? And she said, I have seen the defendant also use shoes. And also, once I did see him use a cord of some sort. And Miss Giddy said, how did that make you feel? And she said, I felt like I needed to listen even more because that could also be me. Wow. I think about these girls and what they went through. I mean, even if it happened one day and they left, it still was bad. It's still bad. It's all bad. You should keep those. Most are adults. Half are adults and half. And like. Let's see what's going on in the chat. I'm gonna take a quick break. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, yes, please don't forget, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, Devin. Who's that? Yes, please please hit that like button. I'm not going to continue. We're going to be on a break real quick. Give me one moment, guys. And please make sure you hit that like button. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I had to take a quick restroom break, and I am in the middle of making lunch. I'm doing a baked ziti. So, yeah, let's continue. That's very true. And once again, hello to all. Did we get those likes up? Hit the like button, please. Hit the like button. What are the numbers now? What are the numbers now, guys? I see 73 here. Wow. It is amazing. All right. So, okay. We're at 9:26. I got a few more pages left, and then go on over to Whitney D TV, and she will be picking up from there, guys. So now the court said, Ms. Geddes, just whenever you're ready, if it's a good time to break, I just want to give the jurors their afternoon break. Ms. Geddes said, we can take a break right now. Judge Ann said, okay. So, folks, we'll break for 15 minutes or so. Please don't talk about the case at all, but we'll see you in a few minutes. The jury exits. Miss Ann said, all right, everybody can sit down. All right, anything before we break? Mr. Caddick said, Your Honor, just relating to the government eliciting testimony. Auntie Ann said, I can't hear you. Mr. Caddick said, as it relates to the government eliciting testimony regarding Mr. Kelly's prior criminal proceedings. And Miss Ann said, right. Mr. Caddick said, we will consent to the government actually asking him about it being a prior proceeding, a prior court proceeding. And Auntie Ann said, I can't remember I'm going to have to go back and look at what my ruling was at the time that you didn't take advantage of it. But I think it should be the same ruling. The reasoning is the same. Mr. Caddick said, well, I think your ruling was with another witness, and at that time, you indicated that the door was opened. There's going to be a door opening with respect to this witness, and it wasn't elicited at that time. And the government did not go back and redirect and ask the witness anything about it. Auntie Ann said, I think she tried, and I sustained the objection because it was beyond the scope. That's my recollection. And Ms. Getty said, I know. Auntie Ann said, well, if you call it a prior proceeding, the point is, in addition to, it's not just because I made the ruling with respect to another witness. It's just because it's relevant to establish why she did what she did. So I'll permit it for that purpose, but you can refer to it as a prior proceedings. And Ms. Getty said, but I think, Your Honor, you previously had advised, and there's already been testimony in the record about a prior court proceeding. Here, the witness, I think, needs to explain that the reason why she was not truthful about her age was because the defendant was on trial for a crime involving a minor. And the court, Auntie Ann said, well, you can call it, you can say, I don't think you'll have a problem that there was testimony, that there was a trial, and You can say that the subject was his. What did we agree on before? You don't have to say it's a criminal trial. I mean, it's just not necessary. Okay, Ms. Getty said a trial. The court said it's a trial involving conduct with a minor. And then Mr. Koenig said, I would object to that, Your Honor. I think that if there's a question asked where in order for the witness to, I guess, give what she thinks is the rationale for her saying that she was 18, well, there was a prior court proceeding. Auntie said, that's what I just said. Mr. Koenig said, right, but not regarding a minor. And then Auntie said, no, we are, no. I mean, the whole reason why, just the fact that it's a prior proceeding doesn't really say a whole lot. But that's what her concern was, that it was because she was also a minor. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make any sense. Mr. Koenig said, Judge, and she said, I mean, do you plan to cross-examine her about it like you did the last witness, about why she lied to him, about how old she was? And Mr. Koenig said, I didn't focus on that with this. And Auntie said, I understand. Mr. Koenig said, as I recall from the 302s, she's saying that it was her parents who told her to tell him that she was 18. Nothing to do with her. It wasn't her thought. It was her parents' thought, her mother's thought. Auntie said, well, let's do this. You know, you can do the examination with her, and just in an excess of caution, I'll do what I did the last time. If you question her about that and the door is opened, I'll permit the government to bring out some more information about that. And it will be really just the same thing. So you can continue the examination. When you do your cross, if you challenge her on that as you did the last witness, then I'll let the government ask what they're going to ask. And then Mr. Koenig said, very well. Ms. Getty said, so, Your Honor, I may go back and let the witness know what I previously told them. Miss Auntie Ann said, all right. Ms. Getty said, but with respect to when I asked her about what, if anything, the defendant said about the reason for the letters, she will answer that the defendant told her that it was because his attorneys told him to do it. I assume she had that statement. Auntie said, she already said that. Ms. Getty said, no, I hadn't asked this witness. Auntie Ann said, but she did say something about talking to lawyers, didn't she? Ms. Getty said, she did. And then Auntie said, I think it's fine that he's talking to lawyers. I don't understand counsel to be objecting to that. The discrete objection is referring to the prior criminal proceedings, which I did preclude inquiry on, and I permitted it the last time because the defense quite clearly opened the door to it. So it's a fair point that he hasn't really opened the door on this one because he hasn't had a chance to ask her any questions. So let's do it the same way we did it the last time. And if you need to confer with the witness just to straighten that out, go ahead and do it. So she's talking about, because remember, I'm going to put in my opinion here. Just remember, guys, when she was doing the motions, she had referred to not letting the parents testify or talking about the parents unless a window was open. So the defense team is opening up the window by adding the 2008 trial, as well as the parents situation. So in this situation, it's about the 2008 trial. I mean, in this situation, it's about adding the parents and to get them involved to try to testify on the stand. She didn't want that to happen. Auntie did not want that to happen. Miss Ann did not want that to happen. So that's what their argument is over here about opening up that window to let the parents in. Auntie says, all right, do we have everybody we need to have? Okay, let's get the jury. The jury enters. And Auntie says, all right, are we ready to resume the direct examination? Go ahead. Ms. Getty said, thank you. The clerk says, the witness is reminded she's still under oath. The witness says, yes, thank you. Then Ms. Geddes, okay. Ms. Geddes said, question. You testified before we broke about a time when the defendant told you to stay in a room in the Ohio Street studio. Other than the studio, were there other occasions where the defendant made you stay for periods of time? And she said, yes. Ms. Getty said, what other locations do you recall the defendant made you stay for periods of time as a result of violating one of the defendant's rules in his eyes? David, can you please check on that meat? Sorry, guys, had to check on my meat. Everybody else is in another zone. Let's continue. All right, so now Ms. Geddes asked her, what other locations do you recall the defendant made you stay for periods of time as a result of violating one of the defendant's rules in his eyes? And as answered, aside from that studio, the studio that he later had, and the Atlanta house, the tour bus. Ms. Getty said, you mentioned the studio that the defendant later had. Do you remember where that studio was? And she said, it was Justine Street. Ms. Getty said, the studio was located on Justine Street. She said, yes. In what city? She said, Chicago. Ms. Getty said, you also mentioned the tour bus. Do you remember a time when the defendant told you to stay on the tour bus? And she said, yes, I do. Ms. Getty said, do you remember where you were located? Where the tour bus was at the time? And she said, Atlanta, Georgia. And Ms. Getty is asked, and do you recall what led to the defendant telling you that you needed to stay on the tour bus? And she said, I had broken one of his rules and I did not admit to breaking one of the rules. And Ms. Getty said, do you remember the particular rule that you had broken that day? And she said, I do not. And Ms. Getty said, do you remember approximately when it was that you were the defendant? When it was that you were the defendant had you stay on the tour bus in Atlanta? She said, it was for about 3 days. Ms. Getty said, and do you remember approximately when, either in terms of your age or in terms of time frame, this happened? And she said, I believe that this happened in 2016 or 2017. I don't recall. And then Ms. Getty said, and what, if anything, did you do while you were on the tour bus? As said, there wasn't nothing much that I could do but just wait for him to come on. Ms. Getty said, and what, if anything, did you understand the defendant wanted you to do while you were on the tour bus? Mr. Canick said, objection. Auntie said, well, did he tell you what you were supposed to do while you were on the tour bus? And Az said, it was just a punishment to not be around them. Auntie said, okay, next question. Ms. Getty said, do you recall whether you had food that time in Atlanta when you were on the tour bus for, how long did you say it was? Az said, about 3 days. Ms. Getty said, do you recall whether or not you had food while you were on the tour bus for about 3 days? Az said, I did. Yes. Ms. Getty said, and how did you receive the food? Az said, there was a fridge and a microwave, and occasionally, if he ate, they would bring it and leave it underneath the curtain. And Ms. Getty said, and when you say curtain, what are you referring to? And Az said, the tour bus. There was a curtain in the front where no one could see inside of the back of the tour bus. Ms. Getty said, and you said that they would bring it to you? Did you see who was bringing you food? And she said, never. Ms. Getty said, how would you know that the food was ready or that there was food for you? And then Az said, because I would hear them put it underneath the curtain, and then I would hear the tour bus door shut and lock. Ms. Getty said, and just to be clear again, was the tour bus locked from the inside? And Az said, I don't know. I've never tried to open it. It's always been unlocked, getting on or off for me. And Ms. Getty said, okay, but when you were on the tour bus that day for a period of time, you didn't try to open it. Is that what you're saying? And she said, yes. She said, yes, I did not. And then Ms. Getty says, now to your knowledge, were any of the other females who were living with the defendant at that time ever subjected to the same punishment where they had to stay in a room or a location for a period of days on account of the defendant believing they had violated a rule? And Az said, yes. Ms. Getty said, how did you know that? And Az said, because they would not be around for a few days and we would just know not to ask. So Ms. Getty said, not to ask whom? And then Azriel said, him. Like, where were they? And Ms. Getty said, and again, him? Who are you referring to? Az said, the defendant. Then Ms. Getty said, do you recall what happened on December 28th of 2015? Az said, I do not. Then Ms. Getty said, I'm showing the witness only what's been marked for identification as 935B. Ms. Getty's asked, do you recognize what's shown in 935B? Az said, I do, yes. Ms. Getty said, does that refresh your recollection as to what, if anything, happened on December 28th of 2015? She said, it does, yes. And Ms. Getty said, and that day, December 28th, how old were you? Az said, what year is this, 2015? Ms. Getty said, yes. And Az said, I was 17. Ms. Getty says, and when you were turning 18? Ms. Getty says, Ms. Getty had asked her, and when were you turning 18? And she said, December 30th. Ms. Getty said, what, if anything, do you recall happening on December 28th of 2015? Az said, me and the defendant had gotten into an argument. Ms. Getty said, and do you recall the nature of the argument? And she said, yes, I do. Ms. Getty said, what was it about? And Az answered, he had expressed to me that he didn't celebrate holidays because he no longer had his family. And I felt if he did not want to celebrate the holidays, I could have been home with my family celebrating. Ms. Getty said, did you tell the defendant that? Az said, I did, yes. And Ms. Giddy said, how did the defendant respond? Az said, he was upset with me. Ms. Giddy said, what, if anything, did the defendant do or say towards you? Az said, he did make me leave and stay in the room. And then Ms. Getty said, do you recall what room you were in? I said, this was at the studio. And then Ms. Getty said, where was the studio? I said, on Justine. Ms. Getty said, and was that in downtown Chicago? And she said, yes. Ms. Getty said, and Government Exhibit 935B, generally speaking, what are those? What is that? And she said, it is a text message of what I sent my best friend at the time. And Ms. Getty said, on what date? I said, December 29th. Ms. Geddes said, the government offers 935B. The court said, any objection? Mr. Canick said, no. Auntie Ann said, all right, that's in evidence. Government Exhibit 935B, so marked. And then Ms. Getty says, may I publish it, please? Auntie says, yes. Is this jury only? Or Ms. Getty said, no, it can go beyond the jury. And then Ms. Getty said, can you, starting from the bottom, can you read the text messages starting from the bottom and moving up? And just to be clear, who wrote these text messages? And Az said, I sent these text messages. And Ms. Getty said, okay, can you read what's shown on 935B, beginning where my pen is pointing? Az said, yes. I just felt to rebel, so I did. And then I was like, can I take a shower? Can I take a shower? And he was like, no, you're going to stay in the room until you tell me why you, Ms. Getty said, and there are 3 dots after that. What does that represent? Az said, there was more to the text messages. And then Ms. Getty said, just not shown on this particular. She said, yes. Ms. Getty said, and reading above that, what did you write? Az said, first of all, I never had an attitude. You always think someone's mad. Ms. Getty said, and above that? Az answered, and then I kept calling and texting him over and over. Ms. Getty said, and above that? Az said, and he was like, no, you text me why you had an attitude first. And then Ms. Getty said, in those text messages, were you referring to he? When you refer to he, who are you referring to? And she said, the defendant. Ms. Getty said, and in that first text message that you read, the one on the bottom where my pen is pointing, where is it? And he was like, no, you're going to stay in the room until you tell me why. And then it continues. What did you mean by that? And Az had said, I had expressed to him that I had an attitude because if he didn't want to celebrate Christmas, I could have been home. And then Ms. Giddy said, what did you mean by saying that? He was like, no, you're going to stay in the room. Az said, meaning that I could not leave the room until I apologized for having the attitude. And then Ms. Getty said, do you remember what room within the Justine Street studio you were in? And she said, the control room. And then Ms. Getty said, what, if anything, did you understand that? What, if anything, did you do while you were in that room? And she said, there was nothing in that room for me to do. There was only a TV in that room. And Miss Getty says, what, if any, communication did you have with the defendant? And she said, I did have my phone. However, he was ignoring all the calls and texts that I had until I had admitted why I had an attitude. And I'm going to leave it on this page, guys. This is the last page, okay? Then the question says, how would you, Ms. Getty said, how would you? Did you eventually admit that you had an attitude? And Az said, I did. And then Ms. Getty said, did you believe you, in fact, had an attitude? Az said, I did not, no. And then Ms. Getty said, how did you admit to the defendant that you had an attitude? How would you convey that to the defendant? All right. I said I would leave it here at 9:39. So, whoever, I believe Whitney D is reading right now. So if you guys can go over to her channel. And she's, I don't know if she's going to pick off where I left off or she's doing her own thing. But go check her out and then we'll be back with more reading, guys. All right. And remember, please, to donate to the RSK Trial Transcript Fund. You could donate me at my Cash App, which is $ Diva Divine Light. Or you can Cash App Robert Keller 83 or Atmos at This Blessed House. You can also Zelle me. My Zelle information is 347-664-9253. Please make sure that you guys put for the RSK transcripts. Okay, so that I know it's for the transcripts and not for me. If you want to donate for me, for my time and my effort, you just say, this is for you. Okay? All right, guys. I love all you guys. And for those who have donated, please email me. I will send you a copy of the transcripts. For those who donated only. Okay? Because it was a team effort and all you guys deserve it as well. All right? So please remember, my email is diva.josh.32332@gmail.com. Guys, thank you. If you guys, I wasn't paying attention to the chat. Thank you guys to remember always, my mods, to always put up our Cash Apps throughout the chat. And if you guys want to donate as well to buying a t-shirt on Larry's chat, on Larry's Etsy store, please do so. And you can custom design your own t-shirts. All right, that's how Janine is going to do it. Just customize your own t-shirts. Okay? They're the same price as a normal price for a t-shirt. Customization is not costing you more. The shirts are either $15 or $25. Okay? I don't remember which one. And if you would like to donate to Janine for Larry, her Cash App is $Cuphead40. Guys, can you please do me a favor and put this information in the chat before we leave? I would really, really appreciate it. And if you guys have not already done so, please make sure you hit that like button. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. And I appreciate all of you guys for spending time here with me. Once again, Convict R. Kelly 2021. She's supposed to be reading where I left off. I left off at page 730. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Whoever's paying attention, that's going to take my lead behind me, is 939. You guys can start on page 939. Okay? Once again, thank you guys. I gotta start my lunch, guys. God bless you, and you guys are welcome, welcome, welcome always. And thank you, and don't forget to hit that like button, y'all. Peace.